By the time I realized my boss was not just drunk, we already had a black SUV in our rearview, hugging our bumper through the New York rain. The city was a blur of wet lights around us. Rain hit the windshield in hard sheets, and the wipers fought to keep up. Street lamps stretched into long yellow lines on the wet road. Inside the Mercedes, it was warm and quiet, except for the soft hum of the engine and the sound of Harper Lane breathing unevenly beside me. She slumped in the passenger seat, head tipped against the window. Her dark hair was coming loose from the sleek bun she had worn all night. The collar of her white blouse was open now, blazer undone. She still had on her diamond earrings, still looked like the woman from magazine covers, but something was wrong. "I feel weird," she whispered. Her voice was thin, not like the woman who yelled at board members and told investors no. Why is the room moving when I close my eyes? I kept both hands tight on the wheel. My gray shirt was damp from the walk through the rain when I went to get the car. Droplets still clung to my forearms. I did not look like I belonged in this kind of car with this kind of woman. That had never mattered to me. "Slow breaths," I said. "Keep your eyes closed. Just breathe." "I only had 2 glasses," she muttered. "I remember the first toast, then the awards, then nothing." I checked the mirror again. Same black SUV that had pulled out of the gala lot right after us. Same distance, same speed, no passing, no turn. Just there. I did not say anything about it, saying it would give it shape. But my back went tight. People thought I was just her assistant. Officially, I was. Executive assistant sounded fancy for the guy who handled calendars, email, and made sure she ate at least one real meal on days with 12 meetings. The truth was messier. Harper hired me 2 years ago after she found out I had done private security work for a rival firm. I had flagged a silent breach in their systems when I was still in the military and working part-time as a consultant. She tracked me down, met me in a coffee shop across from her building, and asked one question: "Can you keep my company from getting blindsided?" I had looked her in the eye and told her yes. Now I was doing more than that. Tonight, I was keeping her alive. She shifted in her seat and turned her face toward me. Even in the dim light, I could see how wide her pupils were. Her skin looked pale under her makeup. She did not seem drunk. She seemed drugged. "Are you mad at me?" she asked softly. "For what?" "For being like this," she said. "For making you clean up my mess." I gripped the wheel tighter. "I am not cleaning up your mess," I said. "I am doing my job." She gave a weak laugh. "You only sound like that when everything is falling apart, Noah." The SUV stayed with us when I turned off park and onto a smaller side street. No change, no pass, no turn, just that steady, dark shadow. The gala tonight had been in our own event space on the 25th floor. Cameras everywhere. Donors, reporters, board members. Too many people who would love a story about Harper Lane, queen of tech, drunk and out of control. Too many angles for someone who wanted more than a story. My phone buzzed once in the cup holder. Unknown number. I let it buzz. The SUV's headlights glared in the mirror, then dimmed, testing me, or trying to spook me. I turned again without using my blinker. The tires slid a little on the slick street before catching. The SUV turned too. "Hey," Harper whispered, "talk to me." "I am right here," I said. "Tell me something true." "True?" She smiled faintly, eyes still shut. "You hate these fancy events." "True," I said. "You never drink at them," she added. "I watch you sometimes. You stand by the wall and count exits." I swallowed. "Also true." "And you look at everyone like a puzzle," she murmured. "Except me." I did not answer that. Instead, I made a hard right onto a narrow service road between 2 old brick buildings. The main streetlights dropped away. The pavement here was rough, full of deep puddles. The SUV followed, its engine deeper, heavier than mine. "Okay," I said under my breath. "Enough!" At the end of the service road, it split into 2 thin lanes. One went back out to the main street. The other dipped down toward a row of loading docks and a low concrete overhang. I killed my headlights for 2 seconds and swung the wheel left, then right, cutting into the lower lane and slipping behind a delivery truck that was parked tight to the wall. The SUV shot straight through the split without turning. Its headlights swept past the mouth of the lower lane and vanished. I turned the lights back on and waited, watching the glow at the end of the road. 1 second, 2, 3. No brake lights, no reverse, nothing. I let my breath out slow. Harper opened her eyes a little. "What did you just do?" "Just took the scenic route," I said. She squinted at me, like she knew that was not the full answer, but did not have the strength to push. Her head dipped again, too heavy for her neck. "I can go home," she said. "The driver could have taken me." "The company driver was already booked," I reminded her. "You told me to send him with the board members." She frowned. "That was stupid." "That was normal," I said. "You trust your team. That is not stupid." I did not tell her that the second my phone buzzed with the driver's text saying he was gone, I knew I would be the one getting her out. That I had watched her hand wrap around that champagne glass and felt something cold in my gut before she even took a sip. Her building was 10 minutes away in light traffic. In this rain, with someone already tailing us, it was a bad idea. Her penthouse had private elevators and guards, but guards could be bought. Elevator cameras could be hacked. Neighbors loved to talk. My apartment, on the other hand, had one real asset. Nobody cared about it. I turned away from the route to her place and headed south instead. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe," I said. "You think my penthouse is not safe?" "I think my locks are better than yours," I said. To my surprise, she gave a small, sleepy smile. "That sounds like you." Quote, the rain eased from hammering to steady as we crossed under the bridge and into my neighborhood. Not the nice part of Brooklyn, not the worst. Just a row of old brick buildings with worn steps and too many pizza menus in the lobby. I pulled into the small underground lot under my building and parked near the exit. The engine clicked as it cooled. Outside, rain drummed on the concrete ramp. Harper tried to unbuckle her seatbelt and missed. Twice. I reached over and clicked it free. Her fingers brushed mine, warm, shaky, too weak. "I can walk," she said. "I am fine." "You are not fine," I said. I came around to her side, opened the door and crouched, arms around my neck. She stared at me like she wanted to argue, then lifted her arms. When I stood, her weight settled against me. She was light, but not nothing. She hooked her hands at the back of my neck, face pressed to my shoulder as I carried her up the concrete stairs. Her breath warmed the side of my throat. "This is not in your job description," she mumbled. "I write my own description," I said. My key turned smoothly in the lock of my apartment. Inside, the place was small but clean. Dark sofa, old wooden coffee table, a wall with 2 monitors and a tower that hummed softly, a tangle of cables below it. I kicked the door shut behind us. I set her gently on the couch. She grabbed my wrist when I tried to step back. Her fingers were clumsy but strong. "Noah," she said, looking up at me with hazy eyes. "Am I in trouble?" I looked at her face, at the way her pupils still seemed wrong, at the way her hands shook even when they were still. "You," I said. "No." I glanced toward my desk. "They are." I put a blanket over her, set a bottle of water by her hand, then moved to my monitors. I woke the main screen and pulled up the remote access to the company network. My clearance let me into the camera system from anywhere. I had wired it that way. A grid of small live feeds appeared first. The empty ballroom, the dark hallway outside the event space, the lobby, the garage we had left 30 minutes before. No black SUV. I switched to the archive and scrubbed back to 2 hours earlier. The gala, the bright room, people in suits, servers threading through the crowd with silver trays. There, the champagne bar. I watched myself in the corner of the frame, standing by the far wall. I watched Harper laughing with 2 board members. A server handed her a glass. She took it, nodded, turned away. Behind her, just for a second, a man stepped into the frame. Dark suit, clean hair. Someone I knew very well. He glanced at her glass, not her face. His hand dipped fast, like he was adjusting his cuff. I slowed the recording. frame by frame. His fingers tilted over the rim of her drink. Something small fell from his hand. A drop. A grain. A choice. The muscles in my jaw locked. On the screen, Harper lifted the glass and smiled. In my living room, she shifted under the blanket and whispered my name like she knew, even half-conscious, that something had gone very wrong. I froze the frame on the man's face, clear and sharp in the center of the screen. In that moment, with the rain tapping on my window and my boss drugged on my couch, I understood one thing with a cold, clean certainty. Someone had not just tried to embarrass Harper Lane. Someone had tried to destroy her. The man on my screen stared back at me, like he knew I would find him. Ethan Cole, Chief Financial Officer, golden boy of the company, the one the board loved because he made numbers sound like a fairy tale, the one who always shook my hand a little too hard and joked that I took security too seriously. I zoomed in until his face filled the frame. Same neat hair from tonight, same sharp jaw, same watch he never took off. The small motion of his hand over Harper's glass looked harmless if you did not know what you were watching. I knew. I checked the timestamp, crossed it with the access logs from the server room. 5 minutes after that moment, someone had logged into our camera system and tagged the gala feed. Not to watch it, to try and hide it. User ID, Cole. Device, his work laptop. Location, internal. Ethan had gotten into my system. My chest tightened, not with fear, with purpose. A soft sound pulled me back to the room. Harper. She was trying to sit up, fingers pushing weakly against the couch. The blanket slid down to her lap. She looked small and lost in my old sweatshirt I had pulled over her dress while she slept. Her makeup had smudged under her eyes. Her lipstick was gone. She did not look like a CEO. She looked like a tired woman who had been hit by something she never saw coming. "Noah," she whispered, "where are we again?" "My place," I said. I left the screen and went to her. "Brooklyn." 15 minutes from the office when the city behaves. She blinked and glanced around my small living room, the worn rug, the shelves with old paperbacks. The second monitor still glowing. "You kidnapped me," she said. "You were in no shape to argue," I answered. "Drink some water." I held the bottle for her. Her hand shook when she wrapped her fingers around it, so I kept my palm steady under hers. She took a few sips, then let her head fall back against the cushion. "Did I embarrass myself?" she asked. The question was soft, but there was steel under it. "No," I said. "Tell me the truth, Noah." I crouched so we were eye level. Her pupils were still wide, but there was more focus there now. She watched my face like she was reading code. "You did not embarrass yourself," I said. "Someone tried to hurt you." Her breath hitched. "Hurt me how?" "They put something in your drink," I said. I did not dress it up. "At the champagne bar. Before you took that first glass." A slow anger moved through her eyes. "You saw it?" Quote. "I have it," I said. I pointed to the monitor. "On camera." She tried to swing her legs off the couch and stand. Her knees buckled and I caught her by the shoulders, easing her back down. Her fingers dug into my arm. "Show me," she said. "Later," I said. "First, I need to make sure whatever they gave you is out of your system as much as possible." She gave me a look. "You are not a doctor." "No," I said, "but I have carried too many people who look like you do right now." Something in that sentence made her go quiet. The room felt small. The rain outside filled the silence. I grabbed the small med kit from my hall closet and sat back down on the floor near the couch. I clipped a little pulse reader to her finger. She watched the numbers blink to life. "You keep that in your apartment?" she asked. "I like to be ready," I said. "For what?" "For nights like this," I answered. Her heart rate was high, but not dangerous. Her oxygen was good. I set a timer on my phone for every 20 minutes. Water. Checks. No guessing. Harper shifted under the blanket, then pulled it tighter around herself. She searched my face. "Did I say anything stupid?" she asked softly. "You asked if I was mad," I said. "Are you?" "No," I said. "I am focused." She stared at me for a long beat. I felt the weight of it like a hand on my chest. "You always look like that," she said, like the whole world is a problem you are about to solve. That is my job, I said, her lips curved just a little. I thought your job was moving my meetings. That is the part people see, I answered. The rest is under the surface. Quote. Her hand drifted off the blanket. It hung there in the air between us like it was searching for something solid. I did not grab it. I set my hand on the couch within reach instead. She found it and let her fingers curl around mine. Stay here, she said quietly. Just for a little while. My head stops spinning when you talk. So I stayed, sitting on the floor, my back against the couch, her hand in mine. I talked about simple things. The neighbor upstairs who played the same 3 jazz songs every Sunday morning. The guy at the bodega who always gave me too many napkins. The smell of the bakery on the corner at 5 in the morning when I left for my first job years ago. Her breathing evened out. Her hand relaxed around my fingers. Her head tipped to the side against the cushion, hair falling over her face. I watched her for a long moment. The woman the internet called untouchable, asleep on my couch with her fingers tangled with mine. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I slid my hand free from hers as gently as I could and checked the screen. Unknown number again. This time it was not a call, it was a text. Nice rescue move tonight. You should have left her. No name, no emoji, no extra words. Just that. My shoulders went cold. I walked back to the desk and woke the second monitor. This one showed a feed from an old security camera I had set up facing the street outside my building. It was mine, not company gear. The image was grainy in the rain, but clear enough. Parked across from my building, half under a street lamp, was a black SUV. Same shape, same headlights, same presence. I zoomed in. The plates were blocked by mud or tape. The windshield was a dark mirror. I could not see the driver, but I could feel the stare from inside, like a weight pressed against my window. I saved the screenshot and checked the timestamp. Live. They had followed us. They had found my place. They were waiting. Behind me, Harper shifted and let out a small sound. I turned to look at her. She pulled the blanket closer to her chest, eyes still closed. I had proof on the screen. I had my boss drugged and half broken on my couch. I had a car full of trouble parked outside. For a second, the life I had before this night felt very far away. The safe version, where I just managed schedules and watched people from the corners of rooms, that version was gone. I opened a secure folder on my system and started to pull everything in. The gala footage, the access logs with Ethan's ID, the text from the unknown number, the shot of the SUV outside. I encrypted it all and backed it up to a drive no one else knew existed. Then I set my phone down on the table, screen up, within reach. If they tried anything, I wanted one touch between me and the alarm. When I went back to the couch, Harper's eyes were half open again. She watched me return with a tired, sharp look. "Something is wrong," she said. "Yeah," I said. I sat down on the floor again, closer this time. But I am not letting them finish what they started. She studied my face, then my hand on the edge of the cushion. Slowly, she reached out and laid her fingers on top of mine. "Promise me one thing," she said. Her voice was low. "What?" Quote, "If they came for me," she said, "and you had to choose, you would not throw your life away for mine." I met her eyes. There was fear there, but also something else. Something that had nothing to do with boardrooms or stock prices. "I am not throwing anything away," I said. "I am making a choice." "What choice?" she asked. "To stand between you and them," I said. Her throat moved as she swallowed. Her fingers tightened on mine. Outside, the SUV's headlights flared once, then went dark again. Inside, in my small living room, with the rain on the window and her hand gripping mine, one thought settled in so deep that I could not shake it. This was no longer just about my job. This was about her, and about how far I was willing to go to keep her safe. I do not sleep that night. Harper drifts in and out, her breathing light and uneven. Every time she shifts, I look up from the monitors. The pulse reader on her finger glows softly. Her heart rate moves between numbers, never quite calm, never in danger. Outside, The SUV stays where it is, a dark shape under the street lamp. It feels like a threat and a message at the same time. At one point, Harper sits up too fast. Her hand flies to her mouth. "Bathroom," she says, voice rough. I help her to her feet and walk her down the short hall. I stop at the doorway and hand her a clean towel. "I will be right here," I say. "I am not going anywhere." She nods and closes the door. I hear the small sounds of someone trying very hard to keep their dignity. My chest tightens. I hate whoever did this to her in a way that feels sharp and clear. When she steps back out, her face is damp. She has wiped off the last of her makeup. She looks younger, more human, not like the polished woman everyone thinks they know. "You okay?" I ask. "Not even close," she says. "But I am not dying, if that is what you are asking." "That is exactly what I am asking," I say. I walk her back to the couch. She sits slowly, then looks past me at the monitors. "You said you have it on camera," she says. "Show me." I hesitate. "You should rest." Quote, "No," she says, and that CEO tone slips back into her voice for the first time since we left the gala. "If someone came for me, I am not going to lie here and pretend I did not see it." I nod once. "Okay." I move to the desk and pull up the clip again. Gala lights. The champagne bar. Harper laughing. Ethan sliding into frame like he owns the room. I slow it down. Frame by frame. I do not say a word. Harper stands behind me, one hand on the back of my chair, the other on the edge of the desk. I can feel the heat of her arm close to my shoulder. We watch Ethan's hand dip, watch the small motion over the glass, the drop, the tilt. Her fingers dig into the wood. "That is him," she says quietly. "Ethan." "Yes," I say. Her jaw tightens. "Run it again." I do. Twice, 3 times. Each time her shoulders get straighter, not weaker. "What about after?" she asks. "Does he come near me again?" I scrub ahead. There she is on the dance floor, smiling for cameras. There she is at the podium, giving a short speech, hand a little too tight on the mic. There is Ethan in the background, always in the frame, never too close, never far. I switch feeds. Hallway, outside the ballroom. Elevator lobby. Service corridor. On one camera, just after midnight, Ethan stands near a side door. He is not alone. A man in a dark jacket with the hood up stands with him. Too far to see his face, but close enough to see the way Ethan leans in like he is giving instructions. Outside that same door, on another feed, a black SUV's headlights flash once, then go dark. Harper swears under her breath. "He drugged me," she says. "He had a car ready." "Why?" "Because you are a problem he cannot control," I say, "and there is a board vote next week." She turns to look at me. "You think this is about the vote?" "I think he wants you gone," I say. "If you look reckless, if there is one picture of you passed out, they can call it concern. They can say the company needs someone with a steady hand. He steps in. The board feels safe." She stares at the screen. I can see her putting pieces together in her head. "We have the merger talks," she says slowly. "If I am out, he gets to control the terms. He has been pushing to move faster. I told him no. Then he found another way. I say, silence hangs between us. The rain outside has softened from heavy drops to a steady tap. The city feels far away, like we are in a small island of light and screens and bad choices. "Can you prove he tried to erase the footage?" she asks. "Yes," I say. "He logged into the system with his own credentials after the gala. He tagged this camera feed and tried to hide the index. He did not know I keep backups he cannot see." Her lips press into a hard line. "Of course you do." I open another window, show her the access log, Ethan's name, his laptop, the timestamp that lines up with his attempt to scrub the video. Harper lays a hand on the back of my chair, but her eyes stay on the screen. "If we take this to the board," she says, "they will say I am trying to save myself. They will say this is fake. They will say I am weak. If we do nothing," I say, "he will try again. Next time maybe there is no camera." Maybe the SUV does not just sit outside. Maybe you wake up somewhere else with no idea how you got there. She closes her eyes for a second. When she opens them, they are wet, but no tears fall. "Do you think I am weak, Noah?" she asks. "No," I say. "I think you are tired of fighting alone." Her gaze snaps to mine. The room feels different in that moment. Smaller. Sharper. "I am not supposed to need anyone," she says. "Not in front of them. Not in front of you. In front of me is exactly where you get to need someone," I say. She lets out a breath that sounds like it hurts. Then she moves around the chair and sits on the edge of my desk, close enough that our knees almost touch. "Help me," she says. "Not as my assistant, not as my employee. Help me as the only person in this building who does not lie to my face." My throat tightens. I nod once. "Then we do this smart," I say. "We make copies of everything. We lock them where no one can reach them. We go into the office before anyone else, lock down the network, and track every move he makes in the morning. And then," quote, "and then," I say, "we decide how visible you want this to be. We pull in the board only when we have enough that they cannot look away." She studies my face. I let her. "You always had this in you, did you not?" she says. "This quiet soldier thing." "It is not a thing," I say. "It is just who I am." Her hand moves, slow and careful, and rests on top of mine on the keyboard. My pulse jumps under her touch. "You are not just my shield," she says. "You know that, right?" I hold her gaze. "What am I then?" Her fingers curl slightly. She opens her mouth like she is going to say something big, something that will change the air between us. Before she can speak, my phone buzzes again. We both flinch a little. I pull it out, jaw tight. The same unknown number. A new message. "Enjoy your little sleepover. Sunrise will not be kind." I swing my chair back to the street camera feed. The SUV's headlights blink on. The engine flares. Then it rolls away from the curb, slow and smooth, turning the corner out of sight. "They know you are here," Harper says softly. "They knew the second I took you out of that garage," I say. "They are not the only ones who can watch." She looks from the empty street on the screen to my face. "We cannot go to my place," she says. "It is the first place they will expect me." "We will not," I say. "We go to the office, my side entrance, my cameras." My locks. She leans back on the desk, stretching her neck for a second, eyes on the ceiling. When she drops her gaze again, she looks at me like she is about to step off a ledge and wants to make sure I am really there. "If I do this," she says, "if I go after Ethan, if I pull this into the light, my life will not go back to what it was." "Good," I say. "Good," she repeats. "You built something huge," I say. "They tried to take it from you and make you the villain. You do not owe them the old version of your life." She stares at me. Then, slowly, she smiles. It is small and tired, but real. "You are dangerous when you talk like that," she says. "You are the one who hired me," I answer. Her hand rises again. This time she cups my jaw, thumb against the rough line of my beard. The touch is light, but it hits me harder than any punch I took overseas. For a second, the screens, the logs, the SUV, all of it fades. There is only her hand on my face and the way she is looking at me. "We make a plan," she says, voice low. "And we do not flinch." "No flinching," I say. She drops her hand, but the warmth stays on my skin. We spend the rest of the night building our case. I pull more logs from the servers. Financial records that show Ethan moving money in small, dirty lines. Messages he thought he deleted. Access pings from his laptop at hours he should not have been online. Harper reads every file I throw on the screen. She makes notes on a yellow pad she grabbed from my desk. Her handwriting is sharp and fast even when she is tired. Around 5 in the morning, the sky outside the window starts to gray. The rain turns to a light drizzle. The city slowly remembers how to breathe. Harper rubs her eyes. "If my board thought they were hiring a simple assistant for me," she says, "they had no idea what they were getting. If you thought you were hiring just another boss," I say, "you had no idea what you were getting either." She looks at me, and something soft passes between us. "We go in at 7. I say. Beat everyone there. Lock it down. She nods. And after that? After that, I say, we see who the board believes when the truth is on the screen. I should feel sick. I should feel scared. I have proof that could ruin powerful people. I have my boss in borrowed clothes, leaning on my desk, trusting me with more than her company. Instead, I feel steady. Because for the first time since I met Harper Lane, I know exactly what side I am on. Hers. We left my place a little after 6. The sky over Brooklyn was a dull silver, like the sun was thinking about showing up and changed its mind. The rain had finally stopped. The streets were slick and empty. Harper borrowed one of my hoodies over her black dress. The sleeves were too long. She pushed them up to her elbows and stood by the window while I checked the street camera again. No SUV. Just a delivery truck and a guy walking his dog. You ready? I asked. No, she said, but that has not stopped me before. We took the subway instead of a car. No driver to track, no plates to log. Harper wore her hood up and kept her head down. People on the train were too tired to care who we were. They watched their phones, held their coffee, swayed with the motion. At the office tower, the lobby was half lit. The security guard at the desk looked up, surprised to see Harper this early. He nodded to her, then to me. He knew me from camera checks and late nights. "Morning, Ms. Lane," he said. "Morning, Paul," she answered. Her voice was steady. We took the service elevator up. I used my own keycard on a small panel most people never noticed. My override put our floor into a kind of quiet. No outside logins. No remote access. If Ethan wanted to touch the system, he would have to walk through me. My small security room on the executive floor felt different with Harper in it. She stood in the middle of the space, looking at the wall of monitors like she was seeing a new part of her own body. "This is your world," she said. "Part of it," I said. I set the external drive with our files on the desk. I had labeled it by hand with a black marker. Simple. No logo. No name. Just one word. Proof. Harper watched as I copied one last set of logs over. A credit card trail. A payment from Ethan's personal account to a private driver service. Same night. Same time. Same route as the black SUV. I burned the files again on a second drive and handed it to her. "This one stays on you," I said. "If I lose mine, we still have yours." Her fingers closed around it. "You really think about everything, do you not?" "I try to think about enough," I said. At 8 sharp, Ethan's name flashed on one of my screens. Badge entry. 25th floor. A few minutes later, board member badges followed. The move was on. The boardroom was all glass and wood and money. A long table. High-backed chairs. The city stretched out past the windows, bright and sharp now that the clouds had lifted. Harper walked in first. Her hair was pulled back into a clean knot. She had traded my hoodie for a simple black blazer she grabbed from her office closet. No glam, no shine. She looked like focus. I took my place behind her right shoulder. Not at the table. Not in the seats along the wall. Standing. Watching. Ethan sat 2 chairs down from her. Perfect suit. Perfect tie. He gave her a warm, fake smile. "Rough night?" he asked, just loud enough for the people closest to hear. "Productive," she answered. The board chair, a man with silver hair and careful eyes, cleared his throat. "Thank you all for coming in early." Before we move to the vote on the merger schedule, Ethan asked to show something he feels is relevant. Of course he did. Ethan stood, remote in hand. He clicked. The screen on the wall lit up. The image he chose was from the parking garage. It was the still from last night. Harper in my arms as I carried her toward the elevator. Her face buried in my shoulder. My shirt soaked through at the collar. The room went quiet. "This came to my attention a few hours ago," Ethan said. His voice was calm, almost sad. "Our CEO leaving a company event in this state with an employee isn't the leadership image our shareholders expect." The board shifted in their seats. Some brows rose. One woman frowned. "Ethan," the chair said slowly, "are you saying—" "I am not here to attack Harper," he said quickly. "I care about her. I care about all of us." But if she is in over her head, if there is a personal struggle, the board has a duty to act, especially with billions on the line. He turned to Harper, face smooth. "Were you drunk last night?" Harper did not answer. She looked at me instead. Just for a heartbeat. A small signal. My cue. I stepped forward, moved to the end of the table, and set the small drive case down in the center. The plastic tapped the wood. The sound cut the room in half. "Before you decide what that picture means," I said, "you should see everything that happened before it." Ethan's smile slipped. "Noah, this is a closed board discussion." "I know," I said. "That is why I am here." The chair looked at Harper. "Ms. Lane?" "I asked him to bring this," she said. "Let him finish." I picked up the remote Ethan had been using. No one stopped me. One click, and the image on the screen changed. The gala appeared. The champagne bar. People laughing. Lights bright. "Security footage from last night," I said. "Time-stamped. Signed by our internal server." I slowed the video, Harper taking a glass, Ethan stepping into frame, his hand dipping over her drink, the small motion, the drop. I did not talk. I let the room watch. A woman on the board leaned forward. "What was that?" "Run it again," another man said. I did, twice. Each time I zoomed a little closer. The motion was clear now. "That," I said, "is Ethan putting something into Harper's glass." "That is not what this is," Ethan snapped. "You edited this." I clicked again. The screen split. On one side, the clip. On the other, the system log for the security cameras. "Entry to this feed last night," I said. User, Ecole. Device, your laptop. Time, 22 minutes after the spike. You tried to hide the index. You did not know I keep backup snapshots outside your access. The board chair frowned. "Ethan?" Ethan barked out a short laugh. "This is ridiculous. You expect them to believe I tried to poison my own CEO? For what?" I clicked again. A bank record came up. A payment from Ethan's personal card to a private driver service. Same night. Same window of time. Destination, the back entrance of the gala building. "For this," I said. "You drug her. You have a car waiting. One compromising photo in the wrong place, at the wrong time, and you make her look unstable. The board panics. You offer yourself as the calm solution." "You are reading a lot into a few clicks," he said. Then Harper stood up. The room changed when she moved. She was not the woman on my couch anymore. She was the one from magazine covers, the one who made people listen. But now everyone in the room knew she had almost collapsed on that same table in a different reality. "Sit down," she told Ethan. Her voice was quiet. He did not. "This is a smear job," he said, turning to the board. "Harper has always trusted him too much. She is letting an employee twist data to cover her own mistakes." Her gaze did not leave his face. "No, Ethan," she said. "My mistake was trusting you." She looked at the board, shoulders square. "I am not here to pretend last night did not happen," she said. "I woke up on my assistant's couch in borrowed clothes, not because I partied too hard, because someone put something in my drink. He carried me out when my own body stopped listening." Her eyes flicked to me for a second, then back to the board. "I came in early," she said, "because hiding would be easier. I am not interested in easy. I am interested in the truth. And the truth is, your CFO tried to take me out without touching a single share on paper." The room held its breath. The board chair looked at me. "Can you prove these files are real?" "Yes," I said. "I have raw copies and hash checks. If anyone changes a single pixel, the code will show it." Quote. One of the quieter board members, a woman in a navy suit, spoke for the first time. "And if this is real," she said slowly, "we have more than a PR problem. We have a crime." Ethan's calm cracked. "You are all being played," he said. "She is spinning this. She—" "Enough," the chair said sharply. He turned to me again. "Noah, step outside and have security stand by." I nodded and stepped out into the hallway. The air out there felt different, thinner. I called down to the lobby. "Paul," I said when he picked up, "I need 2 officers up at the boardroom, now." "On it," he said. Through the glass wall, I saw Ethan talking fast, hands moving. I saw some board members shake their heads. I saw Harper standing still, not backing down. When security arrived, the chair opened the door. His face was lined in a way I had not seen before. "We are placing Ethan on immediate leave," he said. "Pending investigation. We will hand these files to our legal team and the police." The officers stepped past me into the room. Ethan turned white, then red. "This is not over," he snapped at Harper as they let him out. "You are right," she said. "It is just not going to end the way you planned." He shot me a look full of hate as he passed. "You were supposed to be invisible," he said. "I was," I said, "until you made the mistake of touching her." The door closed behind them. For a long moment, the boardroom was quiet. Then everyone started talking at once. About statements. About lawyers. About investors. I stepped back to the far wall, letting the noise wash over me. My eyes found Harper. She was still standing, but her shoulders had dropped half an inch. The fight in her body was giving way to something else. The chair finally called the meeting. "We will reconvene this afternoon," he said. "For now, Ms. Lane, you have our support. Lock down what you need to. Get ahead of the story." The room emptied slowly. One board member, the woman in navy, stopped by Harper's side. "You handled that," she said quietly. "If you want my vote in the merger talks, you have it." "Thank you," Harper said. When we were alone, she let out a breath that seemed to come from somewhere deep. Her eyes closed for a second. When she opened them, she looked at me. "You okay?" I asked. She gave a small laugh that was half sob, half relief. "You are asking me that?" "I am always going to ask you that," I said. She walked over to me, slow steps on the polished floor. Up close, I could see the faint tremble in her fingers. "You know what the most dangerous thing in that room was?" she asked. "Ethan," I said. She shook her head. "No," she said. "It was you, standing there with the truth and deciding to give it to me instead of keeping yourself safe." "I am safe enough," I said. Her eyes searched my face. "You might have just set your own career on fire," she said. "Maybe," I said, "but I would rather lose a job than watch them erase you." Something in her softened. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her perfume under the stale boardroom air. Vanilla and smoke. "Say it," she said. "Say what?" "That this is more than a job," she said. "More than duty. More than you being some quiet hero in the corner." The boardroom glass reflected us back. Two people standing too close, with the city behind them and a fire still smoldering under their feet. I could have lied. I could have deflected. I did not. "It is more," I said. My voice came out rougher than I meant. "It has been more for a long time." Her hand rose. She laid her palm flat against my chest, right over my heart. My pulse kicked hard under her fingers. "Good," she whispered. When she kissed me, it was not rushed or wild. It was slow, sure, a choice made after a long, brutal night. My hands settled at her waist. I did not pull her in. I just held on as she came closer on her own. For a moment, the noise of the company, the threat of headlines, the weight of what we had just done, all fell away. There was only her mouth on mine, and the sharp, clear feeling that I had crossed a line I would never want to go back behind. When we broke apart, she stayed close, forehead resting against mine. "We are going to get hit for this," she said quietly. "For the way this looks. For the timing. For us." "I know," I said. "If we crash," she said, "it will not just be my name on the front page. It will be yours too." "I know that too," I said. "And you still think this is the right move?" she asked. I opened my eyes and met hers. "I think the mistake would be pretending this is not real," I said. "After everything we just walked through, lying to ourselves would be the worst thing we could do." She let out a slow breath. Then she stepped back and straightened her blazer. The armor clicked back into place, but now I knew what was under it. "Come on, Noah," she said. "We have a company to fix." The rest of the day was a blur of crisis calls and statements. Legal took copies of the files. PR drafted a careful message. Employees whispered in halls, eyes wide. By late evening, the building was almost empty. Harper and I stood by the big window on the 25th floor, watching New York glow under a clean sky for once. No rain, just lights. "They are going to say things," she said. "About last night, about that picture, about us." "They already are," I said. I held up my phone. Social feeds buzzed with half-truths and guesses. She looked at our reflection in the glass. Did we just hand them a match? "We took the lighter away from the worst person in the room," I said. "If someone starts a fire now, we will see exactly who it is." She smiled at that, a small, tired curve of her mouth. "Go home," she said. "Sleep. That is an order." "Yes, boss," I said. The word boss felt different in my mouth now. She heard it too. Her eyes flicked to mine. "Text me when you get there," she said. "I always do," I answered. Later, in my apartment, the quiet hit me. No monitors humming with new threats. No SUV in the camera feed. Just my couch, my rug, my heartbeat, still too fast for a normal night. I dropped onto the cushions and closed my eyes for a minute. I thought of her standing in the boardroom, calm and furious at the same time. Thought of her hand on my chest, her mouth on mine. The way she had said good. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. I reached for it without opening my eyes. The name on the screen made my chest tighten. Harper. One message. Did we make a mistake? No emoji, no question mark. Just 5 words that carried every risk we had taken in the last 24 hours. The board, the evidence, the kiss, all of it hanging there between us. I stared at the text for a long moment. I thought about the easier version of my life. The one where I stayed quiet, stayed small, stayed just an assistant. Then I thought about leaving her alone in that garage last night. About the SUV waiting in the rain. About the look in her eyes when she said, "Help me." My thumbs moved. "We stopped them," I wrote. "We told the truth. We chose each other." I hit send before I could overthink it. For a second, the room felt very still. Then her reply came in. Then, "No," she wrote. "No mistake." I set the phone down and let the weight of that sink in. The company was not safe yet. The storm was not over. People would talk and guess and judge. But under all of that, one thing was clear, in a way it had never been before. Someone had tried to decide our story for us. We had written our own instead.
If this story stayed with your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.